Disney's audience has outright dismissed the apology from Snow White herself, the actress cast in a role Disney once touted as bold and forward-thinking under its DEI initiatives. What began as a daring choice has spiraled into a mess of delays, controversies, and widespread backlash.
This is after posting a video where she said, if you're not voting for Kamala, unfollow me. I don't need your business. Telling over half of the audience for her Disney live-action bastardization of Snow White.
Becoming one of the studio's most regrettable decisions. The situation feels like a ticking time bomb that detonated 3 years after the actress, Rachel, made her mark in Westside Story. Even back then, there were red flags suggesting that both she and Disney were on a collision course with disaster. What everyone feared became reality. Rachel stumbled repeatedly, and her attempts to fix things only made matters worse. Early on, during the Westside Story promotions, she seemed poised, eager to share her background, but things quickly shifted into a deeper, more complicated conversation about Latin identity.
Do you speak the language? Does it matter?
Does it matter?
Do you eat the food? Does it matter? Where do you come from? And how do you feel about who you are? And are you comfortable in your identity?
Almost as if she was trying to fit into every category, yet didn't fully belong to any. She even admitted to battling imposter syndrome at the time, saying, "I haven't done any other film projects, but I'm constantly pinching myself." For a brief moment, she appeared genuinely grateful for her chance in the spotlight, but that feeling didn't last long, and her missteps soon overshadowed it. Rachel revealed her true self when she publicly complained about not being invited to the 94th Academy Awards, despite her movie being nominated for multiple honors. Instead of taking the situation with grace, she jumped on Twitter with a sarcastic post, announcing she'd be wearing sweatpants and my boyfriend's flannel from her couch. It was nothing short of dramatic, but she didn't stop there, continuing to post about her disappointment and practically pleading for sympathy from fans online. And surprisingly, it worked. Disney swooped in like a fairy godmother, and just like that, Rachel not only scored an invitation, but was asked to present. That moment seemed to mark a turning point for her. It was as if she realized, hey, I've got Disney backing me. I can do whatever I want. And she absolutely ran with that newfound confidence, for better or worse. Fast forward to Rachel's next PR fiasco, this time during the promotion of Shazam, Fury of the Gods. When asked why she took the role, she didn't talk about the story or her character. Instead, she bluntly admitted, "I needed a job." Not exactly the kind of soundbite you expect on a red carpet, and it naturally rubbed people the wrong way. To make matters worse, she turned up wearing a top with a bold and borderline rude message, igniting even more outrage.
Rachel Zegler's very, very narcissistic. I'm better than everyone. I know better. I'm going to present the right version of Snow White for the modern audiences. Not that, love story and all that.
Especially as Disney's new Snow White. You'd think landing such an iconic role might inspire a bit of humility, or at least some professionalism. But instead, Rachel doubled down, using every opportunity to trash the original Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. She criticized it as outdated, dismissed the storyline, and admitted she'd only watched it once because it scared her as a kid. It was far from the attitude you'd expect from someone stepping into the shoes of a cherished Disney princess. Fans weren't having it, especially Disney loyalists. Snow White is one of the most iconic characters in animation history, and yet the actress chosen to bring her to life was openly criticizing the very film that started it all. The backlash only grew when controversy erupted over the depiction of the dwarves, forcing Disney to scrap and reshoot parts of the movie. The resulting delays, coupled with the relentless criticism, reportedly played a major role in Disney's decision to delay the film's release by an entire year. Officially, they blamed the actors' strike, but insiders suggested the real culprit was fear. Fear that the movie would bomb at the box office due to the overwhelming negativity surrounding Rachel's comments and the project's overall reception. Disney's Snow White remake has become a full-blown disaster, and much of the blame falls squarely on Rachel Zegler. At this point, she's practically the poster child for how one person can derail an entire project. It's not just the staggering $200 million budget or the endless delays. It's Rachel's own actions that have driven away the very audience Disney desperately needs to win back. The trouble hit a fever pitch in August, when the trailer dropped and racked up a staggering 1.3 million dislikes. Fan backlash was so intense that branding experts sounded the alarm, warning Disney this could doom the remake and any potential sequels. Behind the scenes, crisis meetings were reportedly in full swing, but even the best damage control seemed unlikely to salvage the situation.
Say, if I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
Oh. Is that right?
In came Disney's PR machine, trying to clean up the mess with a puff piece in Variety designed to soften Rachel's image. Spoiler alert, it had the opposite effect. Rather than taking accountability or showing real growth, Rachel leaned hard into a victim narrative, doubling down on her divisive tone. It felt like she couldn't help herself, and fans weren't buying it. The article was meant to improve her reputation, but it backfired spectacularly, with audiences seeing straight through the attempt. Then came her so-called apology. Let's be real, this wasn't Rachel pouring her heart out or taking ownership of her missteps. It was a carefully scripted statement, almost certainly crafted by Disney's PR team and regurgitated by Rachel. Unsurprisingly, fans saw right through it. The apology came off as cold, calculated, and entirely insincere, leaving people more frustrated than ever. Apologies from YouTubers, influencers, and public figures have become so common that fans are experts at spotting a fake, and Rachel Zegler's was no exception. The internet tore her apology to shreds almost instantly. The reactions were harsh, with fans slamming her for behavior that seemed less like a one-time misstep and more like a deeply ingrained habit. Critics didn't stop there. Many drew comparisons to Disney's controversial firing of Gina Carano, who lost her role over a polarizing social media post. Fans were quick to point out the apparent double standard. Rachel's repeated inflammatory comments were arguably worse, yet she faced no real consequences and still kept her role. The hypocrisy wasn't lost on anyone, and it only added fuel to an already blazing fire of public outrage. Fans didn't just reject Rachel's apology, they outright mocked it. The replies were relentless, with accusations of insincerity and claims that the statement was nothing more than a Disney-engineered PR stunt. The consensus was clear. No one was buying it. Comments like, "She doesn't mean it," "Too little, too late," and "This is just Disney damage control" dominated the online conversation. Some fans even argued that the apology made things worse.
The cultural significance is you had an actress out there just talking shit constantly. She won't shut the fuck up. And yes, it has hurt the movie. To roll out there and say Rachel Zegler's act over the last year and a half has not affected this movie is utter fucking bullshit.
And suggested it might have been better if she hadn't said anything at all. Compounding the backlash is the mountain of negative buzz surrounding the film itself. With a bloated budget reportedly exceeding $200 million, Snow White would need to gross at least $400 million and probably closer to $600 million just to break even. That's a daunting target for any movie, let alone one mired in controversy from the start. Calls to boycott the film have grown louder, with Rachel's involvement as the primary reason for fans vowing to stay away. It's impossible to overlook the damage Rachel Zegler has done to Disney's reputation, even after costly reshoots. A year-long delay and pouring millions more into Snow White, the negativity hasn't let up. It's only intensified. At this point, Disney is probably counting down the days until they can release the film and finally put this nightmare behind them. Rachel might have thought she was invincible, but this debacle is proving otherwise. The backlash from fans has been relentless, and it's clear that both she and Disney underestimated just how much audiences value their beloved classics. What do you think about Disney's Snow White disaster and Rachel Zegler's role in it? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more updates on Disney controversies and audience reactions. See you in the next video.